Okay, so I think we are now live. So, hi everyone. My name is Paul from Refocus Coaching, and I work with dads on improving energy and focus, working on improving their health, and helping them lose fat in a sustainable way. And I do this after going through my own transformation journey years ago, and I really love helping other people now. And these talks are to talk to other dads in business about how they manage their energy and their health. And today I am joined by Harrison Cantel. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, thank you very much. Yes, I am Harrison Cantel. I help coaches, founders, CEOs, MDs, you name it. I've helped people with video confidence. That was where my journey started. And now more so focusing on the personal branding space, as well as running my small business community, which is kind of local to where I live. But yeah, just helping people with camera confidence and putting out content that is a true reflection of them so that they can show up as themselves on and offline. That's the key.
Yeah, awesome, thank you, and yeah, thanks for coming on as well. I've seen your stuff online for years and been following your kind of progression in terms of what you offer as a business as well. So it's really awesome to get you on and have a chat.
Thank you very much. And my head doesn't normally look this weird. I was just saying to Paul, everyone, like my head does not normally look this weird. I don't know if it's because it's mirrored or I'm just having a bad head day. I don't know what it is, but we're here. This is me. Like it or leave it.
I don't know if can you technically have a bad head day? I don't know. Maybe
Absolutely.
hair.
Have you never put your head on wrong in the morning? No,
I don't. Maybe I have. I just don't notice. I don't look at myself enough.
But yeah, thank you for having me, and I'm very excited to chat. This is a really amazing thing you're doing, and I'm sure those who are listening as well will be able to relate to a lot of the stuff we talk about.
Yeah, I hope so. Cool. So we'll crack on then. So you know, what I like to talk to people about is kind of how challenging it is to not only to be a dad and especially if you've got young children, but then when you're doing that alongside lots of other endeavors such as running a business, employing people, serving lots of other people, all of those things on their own are really hard. So how the heck do you manage it when it's all happening at the same time? So I'm kind of intrigued as to, what kind of things you might have potentially struggled with or what you've overcome and things that you've worked on in recent years to be able to do that.
Yeah, so great question. So I think the first and foremost thing, and to address the elephant in the room, is I have a 14-week-old baby. She's a beautiful little girl. I have a 4-year-old girl as well. Anyone that has 2 kids, you'll know that the moment that second one is born, the dynamic in the house shifts instantaneously, and everything you thought you had together suddenly is no longer together. Routines, exercise, all of that stuff, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a second, which Paul is obviously your bag. So that's the first thing that's changed my life over the last few months. As well as that, the business is busier than it's ever been. So I'm kind of dealing with that. I've got a member of the team now pretty much full time. We're looking to maybe hire someone else. So it's a crazy time. And on top of that, we've just collected the keys to our new house, which we've decided to fully decorate as well. This is a pretty crazy time for me. I'm not going to lie. I've never felt so busy, so overwhelmed, so happy, so sad, so everything at the same time. So I think this chat is probably going to do me the world of good.
Okay, cool. So you'll probably be sort of self-deprecating and say that you're not really coping and it's all a bit of all a bit crazy. But clearly you're doing something right to keep things on an even keel. So yeah, I'm kind of intrigued as like, are you getting to the end of the day and having a proper chat with yourself before you sort of bed down? Have you got a system that you're following some way in the morning? What's kind of getting you from A to B, sort of bed to bed?
Yeah, so there is definitely something that springs to mind. But firstly, I want to say that I truly believe that no one has all of their shit together. Like, we are all winging it to some degree. Even the people that you are inspired by and feel like are the best thing in the world since sliced bread, they are also winging it. So that's the first thing I want to say, because I've never had 2 kids until I did. I've never run a business till I did. I've never been this busy till I did. So it's kind of like I'm learning on the job, and that's what I love. And to be honest with you, Paul, I work better in high pressure situations and environments. If I've got an empty diary, I'm in trouble. I'm on TikTok. I'm doing all sorts of weird stuff that I shouldn't be. Now, in answer to your question, my coping mechanism, if you like, which is probably keeping everything together, is communication and pizza. So the two go hand in hand. Pizza because it makes me feel happy. Communication because I feel like if you think about any problem you've had in your life, a lot of it stems from, especially in business, a lot of it stems from miscommunication or a lack of communication. So I sit down most evenings with my partner. She'll be feeding little one. She'll be thinking about going to bed. It's about 8 o'clock by this point. I'm thinking I want to do another couple of hours of work when everyone's asleep, which I've been doing most nights. But I'm having that me time and I'm having the conversation with her to say, look, this is how I'm feeling. She's telling me how she's feeling. And we're going to bed both knowing how each other are feeling at the end of the day, which is great. And then I'll stay up and do another couple of hours of work.
Okay, I'm so glad to hear that. It's really, really, really important, and I don't think it's really talked about that much.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I talk with my one-to-one clients with, and I'm when I do my free 5-day coaching thing with dads, which is basically just about kind of getting your brain into a space where you can maybe make some progress. And one of the whole days, one of the lessons in that 5 days is about what I call your MIP, your most important people, and communicating to them, because without them, you are broken. You're not going to work. Things aren't going to work. And then there's disharmony. So I think it's really important to do exactly what you're doing. You know, I commend you for that, because we sort of take each other for granted as well. And if you just do that, you're making assumptions and they're very rarely going to be right.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to actually share properly and say, I'm feeling this. I want to do this. What do you feel and want? And then you can meet somewhere and make it happen. Without that, you can't make it happen.
No, and I think for me as well, Paul, stress levels are very high at the moment with the business, with the house. My eldest started school yesterday as well. So obviously she's kind of a bit all over the shop in terms of emotions. She's excited, she's scared, she's sad. So we're all feeling it. So I think what's important is that we're all communicating that with each other and understand, look, this is a stressful time. It just so happens we're doing everything at once. I'm about to chuck a dog into the mix as well. Call me crazy, but I think it's the right decision. But yeah, it's all going on. And you know what? I wouldn't change it for the world. And I feel very privileged, actually, that I'm able to do everything I'm doing. You know, I'm able to walk my daughter to school. I'm able to be there for these 14 weeks for our newborn. I'm able to do all of these crazy things at work. I've got James, my team member, who I bounce ideas off. We sense check stuff. So I've got two people, you know, one in business, one in personal, that I can sense check, bounce ideas off, and communicate with. And if that communication breaks down, then yes, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. No, and I think that's really good. You know, you've also been able to build in that ability to be able to do those things like going to school and so on for the drop-offs is really important. And that's one of the plus sides of running your own thing, isn't it? Is that you can tweak your schedule a little bit and do things that work for you. So yeah, that's fantastic. And so when it comes to one of the things I obviously talk a lot about with people is about nutrition and sort of how they're fueling all of that stuff. I know you sort of said about pizza, which is great. I think pizza's a very good thing at bringing people together as well, because I mean, show me someone who doesn't love a pizza. I think they're pretty rare animal. So in terms of how you manage that side of things, what's that looking like for you? And is there any kind of area, have you struggled with that in the past and sort of turn that around? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I'll be honest with you, whenever stress or craziness, busyness happens, the first thing that goes is my physical health, which is closely followed by my mental health. For me, I'm a much better person if I can go on a daily walk. Do I do that every day? No. But I fully understand that if I do a nice 5K stroll first thing in the morning, I am a better person for the rest of the day. Facts. I've done it time and time again. It works. Now, yes, I've had PTs, I've boxed, I've done all of this stuff. And yes, it all helps, but it wasn't sustainable for me. And I couldn't keep it up for whatever reason. And I've done this for years and years and years. What I could keep up for the longest period of time was the walks, because there was almost no excuse. Now, the dog obviously is going to help with that, because the dog will not take no for an answer. And I don't have an excuse, or I do have an excuse even to go out. For me, that's the bare minimum I should be doing. What happens is when I start walking every day, I then want to do other exercise. So I'll randomly start doing push-ups while I'm watching TV, or I'll randomly go to boxing and do something, or I'll go and play tennis with someone or whatever. So unfortunately, that's the first thing that slipped since the house, the baby, all of that. That's the first thing. And I'm sure you've heard this time and time again, Paul, but that's what has slipped for me. How I get back into that, I'm not sure. Weirdly enough, my dad, we don't do a lot of activities together. I'm not going to lie. We're both workaholics, in all honesty. He texted me the other night saying, "Hey, H, how do you fancy doing 2 personal training sessions with a PT, both of us together, early morning, twice a week?" And I was like, you know what? That could be enough to get me back into it. Once I'm in it, mate, I'm all or nothing in everything I do. It's just that falling off the wagon and trying to get back on it, I find really difficult.
Yeah, and that's a great shout from your dad, and well done for him for reaching out as well, because and like you've said, when you go for the walk, that naturally that physical output gives you a mental benefit, but also that then spills over into the rest of the day. And I think things like going to the gym, a lot of people go to the gym and just sort of going through the motions. So there's a benefit of doing that and just going and doing something. But if there's a bit of structure, or if there's someone else there, you'll tend to do a bit more quality of work. So actually going and doing a 2-to-1 PT session is fantastic. And you'll have the bonus of hanging out with your dad as well, which probably don't do enough of either. So that's really really cool thing to do.
Yeah, and I think a little tip there that's really helped me. I'm absolutely no expert when it comes to fitness and that sort of stuff, but I do know for a fact what really helped me was that if I set an alarm for 6 a.m., it was very easy to snooze that alarm to go for that morning walk. So what I'd do is I'd lay the outfit out, including shoes, socks, pants, the full works. I'd put that next to the bed on the floor as if I could literally jump out of bed and jump into it. And that meant not waking up the rest of the house, which was an excuse. I was like, I can't get up that early because I'll wake everyone up, because where we live at the moment is all open plan. And I've got an outfit, so I don't have to faff around with that and waste time. And that was enough to get me out the door for a long time to go and do this walk. So that's a little tip. So kind of prepare everything the night before, which I guess is the same with a lot of things.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and that's one of the key things, is that planning and preparation, because you can go to bed with the intention of doing a thing the next day, but if you've not made it really easy for yourself to do that, then you're probably gonna, there's going to be a myriad of reasons why you're not going to go and do it. So that's perfect. I when you were saying that, I'm thinking there's a potential video there for you as well, isn't there? Of you like laying your clothes out in the morning and then jumping out of bed and bing, you're dressed and walking.
If only it was that easy. Well, that may make an appearance. But yeah, I mean, it's a really good point. And I think for me, the first thing that goes out the window is physical health. And then unfortunately, after about 2 or 3 weeks of no physical activity, I mean, I don't, there's never no physical activity, because I'm walking my daughter to school, I'm walking to the office. It's only a few minutes, but I'm walking around town, visiting different businesses and clients. I'm also, I guess you could also say that with the decorating of the house, I mean, that's pretty full on what I'm doing. I've never done it before. And every night I'm coming back aching and moaning. So I am doing stuff, but I'm not doing those walks. And the more I think about it, the more it annoys me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, like we said already, it's about, I think they're worth planning in. It's valuable time. And we tend to, we're thinking about everybody else. We're thinking about the things we need to achieve and the people we need to try and help and please. And then we don't think about ourselves. They're usually like an afterthought later on, or just not a thought at all. And when that's happening, consistently, that's when we start to go on a bit of a downward spiral, and then other things will start to go with it. So I think it's really important to try and kind of put that in place a little bit to try and get those things going.
Yeah, and look, you'll know this better than me. We're coaches, right? We're both coaches. Why is it we give the best advice and people take our advice and get the best results at Life Change, and we don't take our own bloody advice? There is definitely a psychology or a theory around that. I've read it somewhere, but I can't remember word for word. But I'm so good at giving advice, Paul. Like I get so emotionally attached to my clients and their results, and then I'll sit there eating cookies and slobbing all evening.
Yeah, and I'll put my hand up, and I'm a health and nutrition coach, and I do slip and do that exact same thing as well. And I kind of, I've got a reasonable standard that I hold myself accountable to. And actually, part of the reason I do the work I do is because I am then accountable to all of the people I work with as well. So by God, that keeps me on the straight and narrow, my problem in the past was crisps And like I was a Walker's cheese and onion fiend. I would smash a huge bag of them every single day, and then go back for more afterwards as well. And so it took actual work. It took saying it out loud. It took, you know, that effort to kind of make it a thing to be able to fix. So yeah, and the walk it's a big one for me. And you've seen my Instagram. I'm my story every day. There's me walking somewhere, trying to basically encourage people to just literally put your shoes on and go out the door and do 5 minutes around the block, because it will usually turn into 6 or 7 or 10, you know, and it just sort of builds from there. And I think, like you do, you know, if you could do that with your gym, you can do that with your food for the next day. You can prep stuff and put it out, so when you get up, it's there. You see it. There's that trigger. There's that when you were in a good place when you set it, and you might be not such a good place when you actually then see it again, but it picks you back up again and kind of gets you.
Yeah, David's left a comment there. He actually gets his breakfast ready the night before, which is genius, because that, funnily enough, that was one of my excuses. Was one morning I got the cereal bowl out of the cupboard, which is up a head height, and I dropped it and it smashed, and the whole house woke up, and it was like, oh, how dare you? You've woken us all up. And I'm like, I'm just trying to lose weight. So yeah, but David, great point. Yeah, maybe maybe leaving the brand flex out is a good idea as well. Other brands are available.
Yes, they are. Yeah, no, and it's definitely that's a winning thing. So when it comes to, so you talked about your kind of your physical and your walks and so on. What about food in that sort of sense? Are you like, is part of your coming together with your partner, is that planning that aspect as well? Do you prep any food, or do you wing it? What's your sort of setup on that?
I've done both, but at the moment, be honest, winging it. I mean, this morning there was no milk and there was no bread, so I was pretty lost. My kind of creativity in the kitchen was really tested then. I won't tell you what I had for breakfast, Paul, but I didn't eat at home, and I'm winging it, mate. We've started HelloFresh again. What we do is we cancel it and then we rejoin, so we get the discounts. Guilty. And it's great. Yeah, it's great because it gets you trying different food. I feel like it's full of flavor as well. No matter how good you are in the kitchen, the flavoring that comes through in HelloFresh, other brands are available, I think are great. So that helps us with prep. But to be totally transparent, my partner is incredible and she makes some amazing food and she loves it. For me, the whole timings of stuff, roast dinner, logistical nightmare, stresses me out. I'm there for moral support. And I know the best pizzas in town.
Yeah, no, good. And I think that works there, doesn't it? Because you've got that arrangement and that setup and that understanding. I'm kind of similar. I like cooking, but I don't actually do it very often because my partner's the same. After she's been at work all day, she actually likes to go and try not to chop her fingers off and make some food for us, which is great. And we do the same. So we use HelloFresh, Gusto. You know, like you said, there's others out there, and we'll just discount hunt. So I'll cancel, and then 6 weeks later they say have 50% off, and I'm like, that's okay, I will have 50% off.
I feel so sorry for their customer services because they must deal with this all the time. Oh, right, Gary's cancelled again, and now he wants to rejoin. Yeah, but look, it is what it is. It's bloody expensive, to be honest. And I'm a big growing lad, and the portions are not that great portion sizes. Maybe they are for a normal person, but I'm not normal. So, but yeah, I think it's great, and it just helps with organization. I have done meal prep. I've done everything from like chicken the night before and all of that. And look, leftover dinners are the best for lunch, providing they're good dinners. But I'm winging it, mate. I'm winging it, and I'm looking forward to getting some more structure back in my life once the dust is settled, literally in the house.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, and I think you can do simple things as well because, like you said, you're a big framed fella. You're tall, so you require feeding. And I think one of the things I work with people, and they kind of expect that they're going to have to be hungry and sort of get rid of food. And I like to actually encourage people to eat and actually add more food. So I'm always saying to people, put more of this thing on your plate. Maybe watch that thing, but just put more of the other stuff on the plate. So, if you can prioritize your protein a little bit more, if you can get more veggies on your plate, you can kind of fill your boots with veggies. Unless you've got something that really triggers you, in an IBS sense. Obviously, you adjust it for that. But, I think we should be eating more food actually and feeding ourselves well and fueling ourselves well. so that we can function at our best, you know.
Love that.
So yeah, it's important. And I, you know, when you're in the throes of decorating a house and then you're obviously going to move as well,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're going to be living off of a couple of phone numbers potentially for a few days
Yeah.
at least.
Sounds like the dream. No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. Because it makes you feel like shit. You know, it's
Yeah.
the classic Happy Meal scenario, right? It just it's a happy thought, and then you feel awful, and it's like I totally get it. Everything in moderation, and I know what I need to do. I'm fully aware of it. I'm probably one of the most self-aware people in the world, and I have constant arguments with myself in my head about why have you done that? Why haven't you done this? And sometimes I do have to cut myself some slack because I'm like, mate, you've got a lot going on. Even if you can maybe sometimes if I could walk from the car to the office and then back again, you know, that makes me feel a little bit better. People think I'm weird for doing it, but it gets my steps in. But look, and also I'm a true believer. If it's not in your diary, it's not happening.
Yes.
Simple
Yeah. And
as
that's
that.
a really good point. I think we should build it into our schedule. So, you know, I'm encouraging people all the time to put a half an hour block in for a 10-minute walk because they're not going to use the whole half an hour. I know they're not, because it's going to take them 5 minutes to get out of their chair, away from that next email. You know, there's always stuff to do, isn't there? And I think, you know, sometimes maybe we sort of lean on that a little bit too much and sort of say, well, I just need to do this thing, or I just need to get back to that person. It's not going to go away, and it's going to keep coming. So I think you have to build in a little bit of self-protection.
Yes.
I remember working with a coach a while ago, and he was talking to me about this 20-20-20 rule. So every 20 minutes, take 20 seconds looking at something 20 meters away to get your eyes back, because we sort of sit staring at these big, bright, shiny things all day long, don't we?
Yep.
And then when you get up, you're kind of like, oh gosh, you know, you can't really focus on the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So I kind of liked that. It's sort of stuck in my head, this whole 20-20-20 thing. So I get up and I look out of my windows over there I'm nosing at my neighbors, frankly, but you know, it gets me focusing on something different that's not a big shiny screen.
Yeah, love that.
So I think
really
building in those little things are really going to be really beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So let's have a little look at my question. So I guess the only other thing really, because I sort of work with my clients on sort of 4 main pillars. So nutrition, movement or exercise, mindset and how you sort of organize yourself, but also sleep and kind of recovery. Now, you've got one of the best sleep disruptors in the world currently living in your house with you. So how's all that going?
The first 4 weeks were really tough, more so for my partner, because she was and still is breastfeeding, but we've got our routine now. Little one is up a couple of times in the night, fairly spaced out. She started teething very early, and it's pretty obvious that she is, and that's obviously affected her sleep. But I'll be totally honest with you, and this is probably going to ruffle a few feathers, but I kind of sleep through a lot of it. I'm a weird ninja in my sleep, Paul. So if someone was to stroke my front door at 3 a.m, I'd be up ready for war.
Yeah.
But if my 14-year-old baby is crying because she wants milk, something in my head just blocks it out. And I think it's motherly instincts as well, because my partner says whenever she hands the baby over to someone for a cuddle, she starts feeling really stressed, and it is actually a common thing. So I think and also, mate, I've been on the road for the last week, and next week I'm on the road again with business. I'm absolutely exhausted. So as soon as that head hits the pillow, I'm out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. And so it's difficult when you're on the road, obviously, but do you try and have a sort of rhythm and a sort of set time that you go to bed and a set time that you get up? And
yeah, I absolutely do. Less so the last week, and this is a weird thing. So I've gone from being a 5 a.m. kind of person to a night owl. So between 9:30 and 11:30, I'm not saying I stay up till 11:30, but between 9:30 and 11:30, my creativity and my productivity goes through the roof. I don't know whether it's because the rest of the house is asleep and I'm just there and I can just do it. But the stuff I've done over the last couple of nights, around about 10 o'clock till 10:30, maybe silly then going straight to bed, but I can literally work 10 till 10:30 and be in bed by 10:35 and I'll be asleep. I'm not saying it's healthy, and I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but my productivity and stuff and the stuff I've achieved over the last couple of nights between those hours is phenomenal.
Yeah, Well, I mean, you're lucky because that doesn't generally happen for most people.
Mm.
I know a lot of people will then just ruminate on the thing they've just been doing while they're lying in bed, so they can't switch it off.
So
So
that happens to me when I get home. So when I walk in the door, this is a big point I want to make. So when I walk in the door at 4:30, I feel like I've got so much unfinished stuff that I
mm,
can't just go into let's play Barbies and Lego mode and then come back to work later. Like I really struggle with that walk in the door. Oh my God, I'm overwhelmed with like family stuff, but I've got these 3 or 4 things in my mind that I need to sort before. So I'll
yeah,
normally go and do a sit down sit on my phone for about 5 minutes just to kind of recalibrate and switch into girl dad, basically. Go from
yeah,
businessman to girl dad. That's kind of what I do. But
yeah.
it's weird.
That's a great shout as well, because you need some sort of mechanism, don't you, to be able
Mm.
to do that? Because you're right, I mean, I'm sure your house is, they're very excited to see you as well, I'm sure. So you're sort of, they've got loads to tell you, and
I just
you're
run
sort
straight
of,
through the lounge. I just run. Look, any dads listening to this or watching it back, if you tell me, and you're a business owner, if you tell me that you do not use a sit down as an excuse to go on your phone and do emails and do admin, if you tell me you don't, you're a liar. You're lying through your teeth, because we all do it,
yeah,
and it's a game changer. It really is.
there's nothing wrong with the sit down we,
That's
especially
it.
when you get to my age.
I wouldn't know, Paul. I'm 21. But yeah, I think that's a really, really good point. And I find that switch, my commute is not long enough for me to go
Mm,
from work to personal. It's like 3 miles. Do you know what I mean? It's not long enough.
yeah.
So I need that extra 5 or 10 minutes to kind of recalibrate and switch into my other mode.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think, yeah, you need to build that in, definitely. And I'm just assuming you've had that conversation with your partner as well. So
Yeah.
obviously they know that if you've disappeared for 5 minutes, it's
Yeah.
okay. It's just making
Yeah.
that switch.
And then I'll hear her going, babe, just dishing up. And I'm like, oh God, okay, fine, I'm coming. And then I'll come down in my princess dress and we'll be playing Barbies. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's good. Good stuff. So I was kind of keen to ask you if there's any sort of in particular person or a system or book or influence of any kind that kind of has really helped you and influenced you over the last couple of years. Is there anything that
Ooh,
sort of sticks out?
there is. So this is technically not. It's a personal development book. So I've got you can just see here. There's a few books. So
Yeah.
I've read a lot of books in my life, and there's very few that I remember. But there are two in particular. One is Alex Hormozy's $100 million offers, which is standard. Everyone loves that book. This is one that I feel like is slightly underrated, which is Donald Miller building a story brand. For me, this book is incredible. I've dog-eared loads of pages and I refer back to it all the time. I think it's incredible. It's so simple. And I think it was written before people started to monetize being an author and just trying to get you money. And we all know who's done that. But I think for me, this book is amazing because it's helped me see what I'm doing in a much more simple form. And I'm all about simplifying everything I do in business. So it really resonated with me. And in terms of personal development books, I haven't like more so with a personal world. There isn't really one that springs to mind. However, Mike Tyson's autobiography is bloody brilliant.
Oh, is it?
It is. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I read it twice.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's probably worth a look, actually, because that's a very interesting chap.
He makes my life feel very normal and calm.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, you've probably not owned a tiger as a pet, have you? So
not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe,
it's definitely up there.
An aspiration for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd never say never, mate. Because my life over the last year, I wouldn't have believed some of this stuff would happen. So, but yeah, Donald Miller's book is great. It's a pretty. I imagine most marketeers will know about it. It's great, and I'd highly recommend it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I might have a look at that one as well because I kind of always looking to improve in that sense. So I was going to ask you as well then. Have you got any kind of daily non-negotiables in terms of not in terms of your business necessarily, but in terms of you and making yourself ready for the day, perform for the day, keeping yourself on track as a sort of any non-negotiables that you've got that you stick to?
So there are two. One is I take my daughter to her swimming lesson every Monday.
Yeah.
I was an avid swimmer when I was younger. I've got size 14 feet, so I was quick. So
Cheating, basically. It's cheating.
that's it. Yeah, I was basically born with flippers. So take her swimming on a Monday, which was last night. As chaotic and crazy as it is with the rush after school and before dinner and all that, I love it. It's a non-negotiable. I do it. Walking to school will be another one. The main one for me, mate, is I try not to leave the house on work before the kids are awake, so I can say goodbye to them.
Okay.
And that's tough when you're traveling to cities like Manchester and Birmingham when you need to leave at dawn's crack. But I do my best to make sure that I'm there in the morning so we can have nice family morning time, breakfast together or whatever it is, or just a laugh before I go.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, good. I think that's really important because that's for you as well as them. So it's a really nice, it's the best possible feeling, I think, isn't it?
It's just wholesome, mate. That's what it just, and it's like that's kind of my purpose, right? And I know that from growing up, I didn't have a massively close, like lovey bond with my mum and dad. They're both amazing, and we've had great times, whatever. But I'm doing stuff differently as a parent, and I want more of that, like one-to-one time. And because I have a business, I am able to do that more. It's given me the freedom to do so, which I want to, I want to lean on that as much as possible. I don't want to miss anything out. And my first daughter was born in lockdown. I had a whole year of just us three, my partner and me and her, and it was just beautiful. And I wanted the same for my baby, even though we're not in lockdown.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was one of the potential positives to come out of that period, wasn't it? Was that it brought people closer together that maybe couldn't or wouldn't have spent so much time together.
100%.
So it's definitely really wholesome. Yeah, I like that. And I suspect if you, on those days when you are traveling and you don't get that opportunity, consciously or subconsciously, you're probably kicking yourself a bit somewhere.
Yeah, I'll nip out and do a FaceTime. I did it the other day in Birmingham. Had to leave really early. FaceTime them as soon as I got there, and they were up, and it was great. So I'll always find a way.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Good stuff. So is there anything, like we've kind of gone sailing on to half an hour quite nicely. Is there anything that you wanted to bring up or ask of me or sort of mention while we were having this chat?
I guess I want to emphasize my point at the start, Paul, about kind of winging it. I just feel like I've met so many amazing people in my life, people, some of which I've followed on social media or read their books or podcasts for years and years and years. And then I've met them. And what I've realized is that I actually totally got them wrong in a good way. I totally thought that they had all of their stuff together and that they were, they life complete, success, everything. But actually, that's not always the case. And a lot of the time people come up to me and are like, "Oh, mate, you're smashing it. You're doing so well." And it's like, I struggle to take that compliment because I'm looking from my perspective thinking, this is crazy what's happening. And like, it's definitely a lot of the time I'm not in control of it. So I guess that's my point, is echoing, we're all winging it. No one's got it all worked out. And that communication is absolutely key. If you're feeling a type of way, whether it's good or bad, communication is going to help massively. Keep people around you that get you from a business perspective and personal. That's been amazing for me over the last few weeks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great point. I think it's worth reiterating again, like you've said, that there is no one that's got it all completely sorted, and if they're saying they have, then it's a barefaced lie because it's not possible. Life doesn't work like that.
I reckon David Goggins is sat right now eating a pizza, and we all presume that he is not doing that. Do you know what I mean? Like, this sort of stuff is happening on a day-to-day basis. We all just need to enjoy the process more and not be too harsh on ourselves. And look, if anyone needs a hand, shameless plug, but if anyone needs a hand kind of putting themselves out there as their true selves, being unapologetically themselves. And actually, you're at a point where you're like, I need to put myself out there for my business to go to the next level so people can trust me. Give me a shout. I've got a slot available. I've just finished working with a client yesterday. I've got one slot available, 1-to-1. We chat every week on Zoom or in person if it works. And I want to help you put yourself out there using content and build your personal brand, because the personal brand stays with you wherever you go. And I'd like to think you'll never need to go for a job interview again if you build your personal brand, because everyone knows who you are and what you're all about. And if you can go to bed at the end of the day knowing that you've been 100% yourself, wow, that is fulfilling. That's true fulfillment, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I think you probably maybe that's partly where bad sleep comes from, is if you're kind of out there misrepresenting or just barefaced,
Yeah.
bullshitting.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't switch off quite so well and have such a good sleep
Yeah.
as well. So that maybe potentially comes into play a little bit as well.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it. So I'm to anyone out there, if that resonates, drop me a message. We can have a chat. If I can help you, I absolutely will. If I can't help you, I may know someone that can. Simple as that.
Yeah, and I think on this point, kind of wrapping up. So thanks for that. And I think what you're doing in terms of the content creative as well is fantastic, because you're doing exactly that, but for businesses. So you're superpowering yourself, because you're surrounding yourself with other business minds as well, which is so everyone's sort of leveling up together.
That's it.
I
Yeah.
guess.
There's no competition, and as cliche as it sounds, you are your own unique selling point. I've got 101 marketing agencies around me right now. I don't care, and I have no idea what they're doing, and it doesn't matter to me. I'm here to support people.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do. I'm not fighting for airtime. I'm doing me. That's it.
Yeah. No, fantastic. Well, it's been awesome talking to you. Thank you so much for giving me your time, because there ain't much of it available. So we
Mate, this
really
has been
appreciate
great.
that.
It's been nice to reflect, and I appreciate you having me on. And to anyone that's listening, I hope everyone's found it useful. And let's connect and stay in touch, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone who's watching that might need a bit of help, kind of getting a bit of direction, figuring out a few basics, then I'm actually running my free 5-day event from the 30th of September this month. There's a post about it on my feed on LinkedIn. It's completely free. I'm not going to ask anything of you other than to turn up and engage with the content and the concepts and the tools that I provide. And you'll come out at the end of that 5 days with a written plan of action as to what the hell to do next. I give way too much stuff away on these 5 days. Everyone keeps telling me every time I run it, like, seriously, dude, why are you giving me all this stuff?
Yep.
But if it helps somebody, then it's fantastic. So that's why I run them. So yeah, if anyone needs a bit of a hand with sort of planning what to do next for themselves and their health, then give me a shout for that. So fab, thank you so much, Harrison. If we get any comments after the fact, then we'll obviously be back in touch. So please do carry on and comment on here and get in touch if you want to talk to either of us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks.